God said, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And listen. I call our attention this morning to the 27th chapter of Psalms. The 27th chapter, or excuse me, the 27th Psalm. 27th Psalm, not chapter, but 27th Psalm. And our key verse would be the 14th verse of that 27th chapter. And it said, wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I said, wait on the Lord. If I must use a text this morning, and a subject I like to talk about how to overcome paralyzing fear and trouble. How to overcome paralyzing fear and trouble. Of all the impressive emotions we experience as humans, fear is usually the one that is most powerful. Fear now is an enemy that rages and rises up against us throughout our life. Not just every now and then, but sometimes fear comes every day of our life. When we were small children, or as small children, fear attacked. It attacked our imagination. It attacked us because we were immature in our minds. It attacked us with things like monsters in the closet. It monsters under our bed. It put those impossible catastrophes in our mind. But these things really were just vivid imaginations to us as adults, but these things were real to children. You couldn't tell them that the monster was in their closet, or after they had watched the movie, the monster wasn't under their bed. But no, now, as we matured, our fear also matured. As we matured, monsters became a reality to us as well. Our monsters was replaced by horrors. And the horrors of this old world, the horrors of this sin, what I call a sin-cursed world. Some of those horrors now that we face in life is like the violence, and like the crime, and like the murder, like the rapists, and like child molesters, and gang bangers, and those terrorists and religious folks that go against the form of religion. There's wars, those are terrors to us, accidents and death. All of these things become somewhat things that we fear in life. We're very fearful of things in life. But why fear now, when you get this, why fear is something we definitely feel. We definitely feel fear. And we must realize that it is more than our emotions. It is a spiritual enemy. Fear is a spiritual enemy. And this enemy have now many of us on the run because of what is going on in this world. We are fearful to come out. We're fearful to show love. We're fearful to get close to one another now because of what man said. We allow what's going on now to cause us to keep a great distance from one another. And even when they lift this man and said his virus is no more, that fear still will remain in many of us. We'll be still afraid to go in a building with folks and get close to people because we are afraid that we'll catch this virus and lose our life. Well, we're in the shadow of death every day that we walk around. Oh, yeah. We're in the shadow of death of cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure, all of that. Only if we fear those diseases and ailments in our life like we fear this one today, perhaps we would be more healthy. They tell us we have heart trouble. We don't feel dying for that because we still eat fatback, collard greens, pork, and all of that stuff. Some way, somehow, this pandemic here have all of us running in fear, running for our lives. So this fear now, it is a spiritual enemy. And the scripture now, it informs us that the spirit of fear is not of God. God didn't give us the spirit of fear, but God gave us a spirit of love, peace, and a sound mind. Fear is the opposite of faith. It is often now a fruit of our sinful nature. Fear is a fruit of our sinful nature, a nature that tends to believe the worst of things instead of trusting God. Fear believes the worst of things instead of trusting God. At other times now, this fear is strike us with a direct blow either by Satan or either by some of those demonic spirits. Let me pause now. You can call your attention to Ephesians 6 chapter and the 10th verse, where he said in the word, Paul said in the word, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against power, we wrestle against wickedness in high places. What we are against now is not man, but it's Satan who has positioned himself in the minds and in the spirit of man. Indeed, now many people even believe, and they are held captive by the spirit of fear. We are paralyzed by fear. You wouldn't believe the number of people that is paralyzed today because of what is going on in this world. For fear of dying, fear of coming down with this disease. But my Bible teaches me, even if it attacked me, there's a better place. This old body hurt now. This old body have heart disease. This old body got a little eye weakness. All of that. But there's a better place, and we fear to go through the tunnel of death even to get where God is. We're paralyzed. Fear paralyzes us. Paralyzes us how? How is it afraid that fear paralyzes us? It paralyzes us through worration. We worry. It paralyzes us by the lack of peace. It paralyzes us in defeat in our daily lives of being fruitful and working in the service for God. Well, this is nothing new. One of the greatest writers in our Bible had encountered this thing called fear. And that is the man that wrote this particular song. David, he encountered the spirit of fear. That's what led him to penning this particular song. We don't know how or who the terrorists were that caused him to feel this particular way. We don't know who his enemy were, like we don't know the cause of this pandemic now that is going around. We don't know the origin of it. David felt this way, that that they was out to destroy him. David felt like his family had forsaken him. And David also felt that the foe were coming against him, telling and saying all things and mean things and lying on him. David experienced these things. But David too was a man of war. A man of war. And this song could apply to many occasions that David went through being a man of war. He could be talking about some of the instances that he went through in being a man of war, saying that the Lord is his salvation and that he would not fear. Well, however this origin started, David penned here in this 27th song this song here is one of the most loved and favorite songs that David wrote. Indeed, it is his favorite song next to the 23rd song, which he said, the Lord is my shepherd. Okay. Now here he's saying in this particular song that the Lord is my light and my salvation. He uses this here to encourage us and to instruct us how to get beyond and overcome being paralyzed by fear. Now, there's 3 points that I'm going to give before we close out this message and hope that we can really reach them in the time period that I have. The first one, as we look at this particular song, in the first 3 verses, profess your faith in the Lord. The second point we're going to talk about is seek the Lord and pray. And number 3 is wait patiently for the Lord to meet your needs. Number 1 now, profess, not confess, but profess. It's a difference in confessing and professing. Confessing is cleaning yourself up. I confess that I'm guilty of something. But when I profess, it is an open vow. An open vow. And here he professed his faith. And he encouraged you and I to profess our faith. We need to know that we are walking in faith. That's why Paul said in his writing to examine ourselves to see whether we are standing in the faith or not. Sometimes we really don't be standing in the faith. But David here, he didn't begin this song with by stating his fear. He began this song by declaring his faith. Not talking about his fear, but declaring his faith. And in so doing here, he identified the only solution to our problems of fear is trusting God. Do y'all know that? Anybody with me know that the solution to our problem today or this pandemic is that we must trust God? Amen. I can't trust what the president is saying. He's been lying ever since he's been in the White House. I can't trust some of the other politicians because they've been lying ever since they've been in office. But there's one who is true to that word. Amen. He said he'll never leave us, nor will he forsake us. And he's not slack concerning his promise, and that is God. Therefore, I will forever stand for him in this life and in the life to come. But David said the only solution now is to trust the Lord. In the same personal way, David referred to the Lord as his shepherd. You have to understand a shepherd in a shepherd's care. You have to understand the shepherd and the shepherd love. Yeah. You have to understand the shepherd and the shepherd characteristics. David understood the shepherd. He said the Lord is, not might be, but he said the Lord is my shepherd. And by the Lord being his shepherd, he said, I shall not want. All right. He now testified that God is, again, his salvation. He testified that God is his strength. Yeah. Because of his, what? Personal relationship. You got to have a personal relationship with God in what we're dealing with now. You got to have a personal relationship with God to walk in the midst of what we're walking in now. You got to have had an experience and an encounter with God to walk in what we are walking in today without fear. You got to know that you know what you know in this environment that we are living today. So he see God as his shepherd. He see God as his salvation. He see God as his strength because of his personal encounter with him. Let me put a window in this house. I read a story one day about this shipmaster, this captain of this ship, and he was sailing the ocean, and a storm came up, and it had the ship just reeling and rocking back and forth, water buffing up against it. The clouds were dark, and the lightning was flashing, and the captain of the ship, he walked out to the edge of the ship. And when he walked out there, he looked into the sky at the dark clouds and the lightning flashing, and his little girl walked up beside him. And when she walked up beside him, she caught a hold to his hand and looked up and said, Father, are you not afraid? And he said, are you afraid? To his daughter. His daughter said, no, I'm not afraid. He said, why is it that you're not afraid? She said, because I got my Father's hand in my hand.
All right.
He said, for that same reason, I'm not afraid, because I got my hand in my Father's hand.
All right.
And that's what we have to have. That's where we must have our hand in times like this, in our Father's hand. He also said that he was his light. God had to be our light. God had to be our knowledge. God had to be the one that shines within our life. Yeah. In times like this, people are going to look at the church, the ones who've been singing and the ones who've been praying all the years to see how we are going to stand and take what is coming before us now. It is not telling us to be foolish now. It's not telling us not to have or take precaution. But they're still going to look at the church as being the light, and they're going to follow a pattern behind us. It's necessary that we walk in the light. So David here first declared that God here was his strength, and now he said God is his light. And he's the light of his salvation. Now David, it is said that this song was wrote behind and along with when he slayed the Philistine, that great giant. And it was during the time before he became king. And perhaps some theologians said this is why he said he is my light, and this is why Saul was behind him trying to take his life, and when he said the Lord is my salvation, because of jealousy here. But he in this particular here, he has slain the Philistine, and now he alluding to the situation that he was in, this giant, and he was delivered. We're delivered from many giants every day. All right. The giant again of heart disease. The giant again of cancer.